So if you want to get closer, because I have no idea. We're going to try this, see if it comes out. So the bird, that's that little bird on the print up that I, and I'm going to try to do it with as few strokes as possible. You look at me, look at room over here. So I can see, you look at the basic part of the bird. The basic part is going to be this body part and then the wing, yes? Mm-hmm. It's fairly wet and they're bleeding. I don't know if that's in the picture. Bleeding together. Is it in the picture? Hello? Okay. So I get my brush, damp, not too wet. Think, think, think.
Your big brush.
Yes. I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little crazy. It's kind of like, because it's going to do my job for me faster. I'm going to do the head first, I hope. Trying to side load the brush a little bit because I want it to kind of fade. It is going to be kind of this type of a stroke. See how I turn it and bring it down. So that's kind of that brown head part, kind of.
Did you put two colors on your brush?
That was just one color. Just kind of the brown. Now I'm going to pick up for his throat. It's kind of a pinky red. And hope that this comes out. I'm seeing it's a little more pointed as it goes up into the beak. And then it comes out a little bit. I mean, that's not too bad. It's not too great either, but it's not too bad. Now, the breast, too yellow. Bring in some gray. Thinking body, kind of. Not enough. While it's still wet, I want to bring that down in. You see, now I just did that little triangle shape in there. Kind of this triangle. And now I'm going to try to do this. And we have our brush strokes, so we should be able to pull this off.
Okay.
I'm going to use this blue, just because I have a bunch of it here. I'm adding water in one tip to kind of lighten that side. So it's kind of a side-loaded brush. I've got a funny bump there. Look how that's drying there. I don't like that. I wonder if I missed it slightly. Now I don't want it to bleed here, so I'm going to cover this. And I'm going to head it back this way because I don't want it to mess up that. See how I kind of tried to make it go right in that one little spot? Tried. I want to fix that. That's bothering me. Okay, better. But if it's not perfect, don't necessarily worry about it. Whoa. My bird's going to be different than his. And down to the feather. So that's just kind of the first layer. 1, 2, 3, kind of 4 strokes. And it would be good if you practice this a number of times instead of just trying to do a demo. I have not done this bird before. No, I'm going to leave it alone. It's best to let it dry now. It looks fairly dry up near his beak. The beak is very thin and long. I don't use black much, and I'm not going to use it pure black. But I'm going to pick up some black and, I don't know, burnt sienna. Why not? Now remember how this is an awkward stroke for me? So it would be best if I turn. And I think this is going to be comfortable. The beak is long and thin. I'm going to press a little bit closer to his head. And then I'm going to lift. Not exactly what it is.
Oh, wow.
But again, if I were going to do this series, I could come over to another sheet of paper and practice that a few times until I felt comfortable with the stroke. It's too wet right there. That looks dry. You know these strokes. You know we've worked on these. There's his little feet. While this is still a little bit damp, I'm thinking, how damp is it? It is kind of at between the sheen and the matte stage.
Do you ever use a hair dryer?
I don't. No. My mother does.
I do. I think it would blow the. You've got to be careful.
You have to be careful. Don't go too close. But
Right.
sometimes you can actually go close and push it out. You remember how the thing we used to do with the straws?
Yeah.
If you want something like that for branches or something.
So you on the top part of the head, you did a twist stroke. On the bottom part of the body, you didn't do a twist stroke. How do you know when you do a twist stroke?
I kind of did it. Where it's fat, I kind of twisted and then lifted to where it's thin, like we practiced last week. So you can practice on a scrap piece of paper before you come. Like if I want here, if I want to highlight, because I have a damp, clean brush, I can just come back in and lift a little of that.
Yeah.
So now that's damp, but we could also, and I'm kind of rushing this, I would take more time. I've got some dark. I'm going to try to follow along the edge of the feathers here. They've delineated a little bit. Oh, yeah. Somewhat close enough. Branch. I think that's dry enough. I hope it's dry enough. See how I'm lifting and using less of the brush. Here I pressed, so it's coming out from under his feet. Kind of press down. Shake it a little bit because this is an old craggly branch. And I need more paint.
Cough drop.
Do you have one?
Oh, do I have one?
I don't know what those little dots are. Is that a caterpillar?
What if you could overdose on cough drops?
I left them out.
Thank you. It's almost like somebody took a toothbrush and sprayed some.
After,
Yeah.
yes. Yep, which we could do. So now I'm gonna get the black because I want a thin line
It's too good to be
in the eye.
workable, I think.
Which one is
The eye should be round. That's not a round eye.
Blue and stuff, yeah.
But, you know, it's coming, and then you wait for it to dry.
This is my 10th one, I think, today.
Oh no.
It's working, actually, very good. Mm-hmm.
Little shading here. He's not perfect, but
That's good.
just kind of get the idea.
My husband has a saying, it's not perfect, but it's good enough for government work.
I've been watching Madam Secretary. Oh my gosh.
Don't you wish we had one like
Yes. So the key to having these colors blend is really keeping it wet. Like from
Yeah,
the
wet, but
brown to
not
the
too
pink to
wet.
the yellow.
Yeah,
Because you did one color at a time on your brush.
but I did it fairly quickly coming across. Look at this edge here. If I, with the clear water, I can kind of soften that.
Uh-huh.
He's a fat little guy. His beak is really long. That's all right. But yeah, if we wanted to add the texture like the artist did.
Oops, all right, thank you.
Oh, wow.
You know.
Maybe it's still red.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So kind of fun things like that, and you can practice and play and do all sorts of.
Yeah, I couldn't
Fun
do that
things
one.
like that.
Well, I'm on my 10th cough drop. Very good.
When I'm teaching, I have to have a cough drop because talking so much, I get so
Do
dry.
you need a cough drop?
No, I have one. I've had 2 already.
We're gonna bust this place for.
I know, right? The last high school I taught in, we weren't allowed to give the kids cough drops because they had a mild medicine in them. It's like an herb or something. I'm like, seriously? Had to go to the nurse for a cough drop. How about the sunset now? Oh, yeah. Well, I was in another building and they had to, it was, 5-minute walk across the campus, and in the winter, and they wore skirts. This is a Sisters of Mercy school. It's like, huh. And the sisters were always like, oh, the girls can handle it. Well, because, yeah, they had their habits on. I remember seeing the principal for the first time without her habit on. I didn't recognize her. Because they were, the black, it wasn't long, but it was black and the white strip across here. It took me a second. I was like, oh my gosh, she has hair. I was a little intimidated when I didn't grow up. I was Congregationalist. I didn't grow up Catholic. And then all of a sudden I'm working for, nuns. I didn't know them.
They're meant to be.
And they're just people.
intimidating.
They're just wonderful people. What?
They're meant to be intimidating.
I think so. But these weren't. The Sisters of Mercy, I don't find. The ones I worked with, anyway. All right, so now I'm going to come across this light area. Where's the sun? Up there, maybe. So the bottom of this cloud is a little sharper, and I'm recording this, I think. I hope it comes out. It's a little sharper, and it's more fluffy up at the top. So I'm going to concentrate on the bottom. Kind of going across. And then I can do some irregularities up in the other part. That's not looking good. I want this spray because it's rougher. Now that looks a little more like the flying areas of the cloud. And this is a trick because we know that the back mountains on the sunset one are kind of bluer, but they're so covered by that orange as well. So how do we do that? That's a whole color theory thing. What do blue and orange make?
Gray. Purple.
They're opposites. They neutralize each other, make like a gray. Yeah. So maybe kind of a gray. A warm gray. I'm going to make a warm gray. So I happen to have some blue here. I happen to have some burnt sienna over here. I'm using the colors already in my palette. Check that out with the distant. It looks too thick. I add a little more water because I want it thinner. I'm not going to really work on the, well, I can do a little bit with the paint and talk at the same time. This is always really great.
So rubbing your belly and patting.
Yeah, exactly. The rays. If I wanted to do some of the rays coming down, I'm going to do the next layer while I'm here. I'm not following that exactly. I'm just kind of... Okay, Andy, this is not gonna be a masterpiece here, you know, that's just. Layers of, and then you can take your brush and clean water. Whoops. Did you see that particle in there? Right there.
Well, that's tricky.
So that kind of gives you that glow that's happening. Just lifting a little bit of it. I wonder if I could do that. I didn't do that in the clouds, did I? I'm gonna try it, and then I'll totally mess it up. Nope, I know it would be better. Nope, it didn't work either. Wet it and then blot it. Yeah, right? That worked better. Yeah, it's kind of boring. Back and forth. Need some color in there. Yeah, if you blot once, if you can. And then I could come down in here with trees.
Love the way the yellow is coming through.
Right, yeah. I lifted, did you see me do that when I lifted it? Yeah. Okay. Here I'm not rinsing my brush every time in between because these two dark colors, it's not as sensitive as those. This is just another way of, you could do this. Too wet. See how it's, there we go. It's a little wet, so there's going to be some bleeding. I don't like what happened there. But it's working better down in this area. See how they're kind of bleeding to, and then you step back and it kind of looks like trees on the hill.
It really does. Your palette.
Little fog coming across.
It's all okay.
Because I'm very, at home, I've got very organized,
It's good exercise.
It is.
And you can see that if I use the paper towel and I look for a nice wrinkled area, you can make it like long, thin wrinkles, or you can make it fatter little wrinkles. It'll add, didn't work well, some texture. So it's variegated now. It's not just flat color, even something as simple as that.
I like the saran wrap.
You use paper towels a lot.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
And if
when
you
I
use
saw-
Kleenex
Really
instead of
good
paper
work.
towels, it'll give you a different look, or toilet paper. You can use all sorts of different things. And again, this is not great. I just was trying to show you. It's horrible, actually. But just the idea. Look, this does kind of look like trees and stuff. And this is really, really tricky. And I was just playing with that, so it didn't.
What do you think pepper would do?
Nothing.
Nothing. You
Make it
tried.
spicy.
So that's.
Oh.
May I ask you what you used to make purple with again?
Purple is blue and red.
Okay, what did you say would cancel out? Oh,
Oh,
I heard,
well, purple and orange are complements.
oh, okay.
Do you have a color wheel?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So your primary colors are red, yellow, and blue,
Right.
right? And then your secondary is when you mix two of those. If you mix yellow and red, you're gonna get, I don't know where this is.
Yellow and red is
Orange.
orange, yeah. Orange.
Yellow and red are orange. And then the colors that are across on the color wheel, like from orange to blue, is gonna give you a nice neutral color rather than.
This isn't a color wheel exactly,
That's
is
it.
it?
It's some of it. What's on the other side? No? Okay.
Okay, well, all right. I wonder why I had that. I didn't realize it was a quilter. And I have these beautiful colors, but I think.